You're now live, Carol.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the remote Teams meeting of Stanley Town Council. This meeting is taking place on Tuesday, the 19th of January 2021 at 6:30, and it is streamed live to YouTube. I'm Councillor Carol Hampson, Mayor of Stanley, and I will be chairing the meeting this evening. I would like to extend a warm welcome to members, officers, members of the public and the media who are watching this live stream. Before I commence with the formal business of the agenda, I would like to cover the housekeeping issues for us all to follow. For those taking part in the meeting, could you please only speak when invited to speak by myself as chair? Keep your microphone on mute at all times unless invited to speak. If you wish to speak, please use the raise hand function. Once invited to speak, please introduce yourself with your name and position unless you have already introduced yourself earlier in the meeting. If you are having issues with connectivity, try switching off your video and use the audio function. If connectivity issues continue, you may have to leave the meeting and rejoin to get a better signal. If a vote is needed, a roll call of councillors' names will take place. After your name is called, please unmute your microphone and state if you are for, against, or abstaining, then mute your microphone again. Please follow these simple rules as it will help us in running the meeting as efficiently as possible. I will pause briefly when questions and comments are being invited to allow members to register their intention to speak. Please be patient should we encounter any issues. Thank you. Moving on to the formal business of the agenda. Item 1, apologies for absence. Is there any apologies for absence?
Madam Mayor, I can confirm I've received no apologies for absence prior to the meeting.
Thank you. We'll move on to item 2, declarations of interest. Does any members have any declarations of interest? Can't see any hands going up. We'll move on to item 3, which is the Mayor's announcements. I would like to wish everyone a very happy and prosperous new year. Wishing you all the best of health, wealth and happiness. Since our last full council meeting due to COVID restrictions, I have not attended any events. I send my heartfelt condolences to those who have lost loved ones, family and friends during this dreadful pandemic. I urge people to listen and stick to the advice given by our public health team, as this week's figures show Anfield Plain and Southmoor have the highest number of positive COVID cases in the whole of County Durham. Please stay safe. It gives me great pleasure to share some good news as our friend and ex-colleague Darren McMahon receives an MBE in the Queen's New Year's Honours list for his work with young people and his work at Packed House. If ever anyone deserves this award, it is him. Congratulations, Darren, and keep up the brilliant work you do in the community. Thank you. I would also like to thank once again all the people within our communities who are looking after and supplying a much needed service to all of our residents in need throughout these unprecedented times. A massive thank you to you all. Thank you. James, do you have any announcements to make?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a couple from myself. It was just to give full council an update on the situation with regards to the Civic Hall following the latest lockdown procedure. So basically, we've, for all members' purposes, we've restricted access to the Civic Hall to all members of staff who cannot undertake their roles from home. Where staff can work from home, they must do so. Staff working from the Civic Hall must abide by the government's 2-metre guidelines at all times, and all meetings, internal and external, are to be held virtually unless agreed by myself. Finally, the use of the Environmental Services vehicle has now been restricted to 2 members of staff at any one time. If I may continue, Madam Mayor, just to provide members an update with regards to this meeting, we will be going into a closed session later on in the meeting, and of which we will then return into open session. So for members of the public out there, there will be a time when the video will be suspended, but we will be coming back following that. And then finally, Madam Mayor, it was just to do the hear, see and papers check, if you may let me do that.
No problem. So
members, if you could say if you can hear, see and if you have your papers with you, a simple yes or a simple no will suffice. So Councillor Christine Bell.
Councillor Bell, you're on mute.
Am I open now?
Yes.
Yes, got them.
Gordon Binney.
Yes. Got them all.
Thank you. Councillor Helen Clark.
Yes.
Councillor Joyce Clark.
Yes.
Councillor Alex Clegg.
Yes.
Councillor Mark Davidson.
Yep.
Councillor Carol Hampson.
Yes.
Councillor James Kane.
Yep.
Councillor Carl Marshall.
Yep.
Councillor David Marshall.
Yes.
Councillor Joe McMahon.
Yep.
Councillor Bala Nair.
Yes.
Councillor Joe Nicholson.
Yes.
Councillor Jack Pallas.
Yes.
Councillor Jeanette Stevenson.
Yes.
Councillor Les Timby.
Yes.
Councillor David Tully.
Yes.
Joanne Tully.
Yes.
And finally, Councillor George Wilkinson.
Yes, I have, thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Right, we'll move on to item 4, which is the leader's statement. Could I ask Councillor Les Timby?
Thanks, Madam Chair. As you've already correctly said, we're still in difficult times and unprecedented times regarding COVID. And I reiterate what you've said. We must follow the latest guidance, stay at home, stay safe, and abide by the guidance. We'll be discussing the budget later on. And I think it's been a difficult budget to set, but we have set a balanced budget, and we will continue to support our community groups through this budget proposals. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Councillor Timby. We'll move on to item 5, which is public participation. Do we have any questions from the public?
Madam Mayor, I can confirm that there's been no questions received from any members of the public.
Thank you. We move on to item 6, confirmation of the minutes of the ordinary council minutes on the 24th of November, which is attachment A. These are to approve as a correct record and sign the minutes? Councillor Timpey?
Yeah, I propose that we approve these.
Thank you. And Councillor...
Sorry, I couldn't get the hand up. Change up.
Pardon? I've got that, Alex. Les has
Right.
proposed, you have seconded.
Carol, I was just going to suggest that we take both at the same time, but never mind, I'll just propose that we accept the minutes of the Finance and General Purposes Committee instead.
All right. So I can move on to item 7 now, can I?
Yeah.
That is the committee meeting attachment B of the Finance and General Purpose meeting.
Yeah.
Councillor
So I was proposing that we accept and approve.
Thank you. Christine Bell, Councillor Bell, you have your hand up.
I have. I would like to say that I had put my apologies in for the last meeting, but it was halfway through the meeting when I realised that I'd missed the meeting.
Thank you. So item 7, we have a proposer. Do we have a seconder? Hang on. I can't see who's got the hand up.
It's Councillor Binney. Madam
Thank
Mayor.
you. Councillor Binney, would you like to come in?
I'd just like to second that motion.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to item 8, which is the double taxation report, and that is attachment C. The council is to consider the attached report and decide what to do. James, are you going to report on this?
Yep, that's absolutely fine, Madam Mayor. Members, double taxation and Durham County Council. So this is something that was discussed at the last larger council's CDALC meeting, of which it was Great Aycliffe Town Council brought forward a motion that they acknowledged Durham County Council's response to the issue of double taxation. We would request that in the interests of fairness, there is a commitment by Durham County Council to reconsider the issue of double taxation and possible options to alleviate the unfairness that this causes for local council taxpayers in County Durham. It is requested that this review is undertaken in consultation with the local council's working group. The report, as attached in attachment C, provides some background information on the double taxation, how it comes about, reasons to resolve it, arguments for not taking action, weighing up the arguments, and also recent discussions that have been had with Durham County Council. I don't really have anything more to add with regards to this, apart from the fact that at the moment we receive quite a large amount of money from Durham County Council by way of the local council tax reduction scheme, and that does have implications, or has been mentioned as an implication, should this full review be undertaken. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Alan, did you have your hand up there?
I did, but I think Joan wants to say something.
Councillor Nicholson?
Hi, Carol. Thank you very much. I just wanted to say, as county councillors, should we not have declared an interest?
James, how do we stand there, please?
It would be a situation where if you were involved in the process, if you were to be involved in this side of things and then be involved in the process from a Durham County Council side of things, you would probably be best to declare that point of view. So for the purposes of tonight, if you wanted to be involved in a future consultation as part of Durham County Council, then yes, you would have to declare. Otherwise, you would be okay to take a vote on this one.
Thank you. Councillor Davison, do you have your hand up?
Thanks, Chair. Just want to come in to say this. I'll not be declaring interest. There's two reasons for that. One, I'm retiring, and two, I think that it depends on what decision we make tonight, and what decision the county council would offer us if we were on the county council side trying to decide it. If you know what I mean. I'm not sure that the likes of myself, Joan, and Jeanette, and yourself would be at the heart of the discussions, if you know what I mean. So I don't think there's I personally don't think there's a need to declare an interest on this. Thank you.
Councillor Nair, you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you very much. This is a very difficult question because different town councils and parish councils take on different aspects of service to the community. My suggestion would be that CDALC are continuing their discussions and debating and talking to a variety of people, and that we leave this item out until CDALC has a more positive decision and an argument to make. So I say that we stay back from making any decision tonight on this one at all. Thank you.
I can't see who's got the hand. Oh, Councillor Clegg. You're on mute. You're on mute, Alex.
I'll second that, Carol. What is just proposed.
Right, thank you. So it's been proposed and seconded that we'll leave it for the time being.
Sorry, Chair, Councillor David Marshall's got his hand up.
I can't see.
Not to worry, Carol. Sorry.
David, did you want to come in?
Yeah, just to make a couple of points on that. Our constitution and the terms of reference committee, we looked at this some time ago, and there's 5 pages of things that parish councils have the powers to do, and if you look under those papers, you'll find that there's statutory provisions. Now we've got 150 parish councils in County Durham, so I don't think we'll get a big agreement on what they would want to do and what they wouldn't want to do. And I appreciate the bigger councils like Newton Aycliffe. They do more things. But, I mean, we've got to be careful what we're looking at there. We've already said we didn't want to touch allotments. Now, there'll be other things in there. It varies, you know, there's bylaws, bush shelters, burial grounds, baths and washrooms, clocks, churchyards. I'm not going to go through them, but if you have a look on your papers, you'll find that under that there's a big long list, and I agree with the motion. Let's leave it with CDALC and see what comes of it.
Right. Do we agree?
Madam Mayor, can I just have confirmation from Councillor Nair that his proposal is not to support the motion? So it would either be to support the motion or not to support the motion.
I don't quite get you, James. What I'm suggesting is that we do nothing on this paper at the moment until CDALC gives us a more definite answers or has debated this much more and can give us some kind of decision. So we don't do anything with this at the moment.
And so the motion is to not do anything.
That's right.
Right. No, not a problem.
Is that okay, James? Are you okay there?
Yes, I am, Madam Mayor. I just need a recorded vote on that, if possible.
Do you want to go ahead?
Thank you very much. So, Councillor Christine Bell.
Councillor Christine Bell, Catchgate Ward. Yes, I agree with that.
Councillor Gordon Binney.
Councillor Gordon Binney, the Havana Ward. I'm for the motion.
Councillor Helen Clark.
Agree.
Councillor Joyce Clark.
Agree.
Councillor Alex Clegg.
Agreed.
Councillor Mark Davidson.
For.
Councillor Carol Hampson.
For.
Councillor James Kane.
For.
Councillor Carl Marshall.
For.
Councillor David Marshall.
For.
Councillor Joe McMahon.
For.
Councillor Ballinair.
For.
Councillor Joan Nicholson.
For.
Councillor Jack Pallas.
Agree.
Councillor Jeanette Stevenson.
For.
Councillor Les Timby.
For.
Councillor David Tully.
For.
Councillor Joanne Tully.
For.
And Councillor George Wilkinson.
For.
That's unanimous, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you.
I thought we were playing bloody golf there with all the fours that's going on.
We move on to item 9 on the agenda, which is the Stanley Fund, which is attachment D. Alan Tubman, are you going to report on this one?
Hello, yes, yeah, hello everybody. It's just a quick update report on where the Stanley Fund's at, just for members' information, really. I've been talking to the County Durham Community Foundation, who obviously we're partnering with as part of this, and it's just details on how year 1 went and where things are moving ahead through year 2. Table 1 of the report shows where the original community fund was built up for, was established. Amount available at the first year was 126,000 altogether. Of that, I believe there was 17,000 left, which has rolled over into this financial year. Part of the agreement with the funding was to have multi-year funding for some of the projects. Now, some of these rolled forward into this year. 5 of them were did in total. 2 of them, I believe, have been done for alternative funding, and 3 have got a commitment out of this year's budget. Looking at paragraph 3, shows you where the Stanley Community Fund is this year. There's the £50,000 we've put in, AP, Durham County Foundation, the other donors, and in total, with the balance brought forward from the previous year, they ended up with £100,000 again available. 24 grand of that was multi-year funding. That's already promised. So for groups this year, effectively, there's £76,000 available for groups that they had to be funded throughout their 2021. Part of the ethos behind the fund was to use it as a way of bringing additional finance into Stanley, additional funding streams. County Durham Community Foundation has been working on that with a number of progress. 2 main ones is the Moor and Westlake, which have given us £40,000, and also the National Lottery Community Fund is given somewhere in the region of about £300,000. So overall, in paragraph 4, the total amount available this year, 2 groups through either the Stanley Community Fund or associated funds that's worked towards bringing that together, is looking at over £300,000. The other thing that I put in there, again, I got this information directly from County Durham Community Foundation, is the impact and the outcomes from the groups that's been funded so far. Those are outlined in paragraph 5 as we go ahead. That's all from me, really, folks. It was just, sorry, members, it was just for information. It was to let you know where we are at with this. I believe there's been a call out for grant funding, which I think the group's been called together in the near future to discuss the current applications that's outstanding. Main point of this was to show you how it's gone in the first year, how it's developed into the second year, but also to show that the work that's being done by the foundation to bring in other funds, other finance available into the town on the back of the creation of this fund. Other than that, it's for members' information. But I'll be happy if anyone needs anything further, so I can get that from. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Councillor Helen Clark, you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you. It's Councillor Helen Clark, Tanfield Ward. All I just want to clarify with you there, Alan, is obviously I know there's 101 currently in the Stanley Fund for the coming year going forward, 21-22. The 40,000 and the 200,000 from the Moan Westlake and the National Lottery, that is not ring-fenced to Stanley. It can be applied for by anybody in County Durham in the CDCF.
Well, I mean, what I was told by the CDCF was the National Lottery Community Fund was the spotlight on Stanley Fund. So it was, I mean, I was told it was mainly for the Stanley area, or for people that are operating in the Stanley area. If not exclusively in the Stanley area, then they should be operating in the Stanley area.
Well, my understanding is neither of those are unique to Stanley, that other people within Durham. It's just for clarification. I'm not.
No, I can check that out, but I'm like I say, the information I got directly from them, so I can check
I've got the same information
on that.
I've got the same. I asked the same question and I got a different answer. So maybe we just need to clarify.
Yeah, no bother.
Thanks.
Thank you. No, someone else has got the hand up, but I can't see who it is.
It's Councillor Stevenson, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Stevenson, do you want to come in?
I do. Thanks very much, Chair. Well, I'm really happy to receive this update report. You know, this is a joint fund and it was set up with a very clear aim of supporting local groups and organisations in the Stanley area. You know, Stanley, County Durham Foundation is one of the contributors to the fund, and as well as managing the bidding process, they have been able to leverage into the Stanley area all of that additional funding, and that sits alongside our Stanley Town Council contribution. So I just feel this is a very successful approach to maximising the funds into our area. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Clark, do you want to speak again, or is that a historic hand?
That'll be historic.
Right. Someone else has got the Mr. Alan Tubman. You have your hand up.
Yeah. I think Carl was before me. I think I've just stuck mine up there. So
I cannot see Carl on here.
Oh, wait.
Right, there you are, Carl. Carl, do you want to come in?
Yeah, thanks. It was just really to reinforce what Jeanette said. I think that it's undoubtedly been a success. You look at the amount of money that's been pulled into Stanley because of the investment and the leadership in setting this fund up with the Community Foundation. And I know from speaking to many of the groups who've received funds from the foundation that they've also received support to attract other money in. It's also my understanding, the same as Alan's, that this funding has been secured for groups within the Stanley area on the back of the work with the Stanley Fund, which makes the 50,000 as a town council we put in to an overall pot of nearly £342,000. You know, you'll not be many investments as a council we make where we get that sort of return. And if you just look at the number of beneficiaries as well across the board, you know, 27,500 people from the Stanley community have benefited from the projects that have been delivered from this fund. So I welcome the report. It's obviously it's been a while since we've had an update on this into full council, and I think it would be really good to maybe ask the Community Foundation when some of those projects have started to be delivered and some of that lottery money where we've been really short in attracting national funding from the lottery into Stanley over the years. We've punched well below the county and the regional average in terms of grant recipients from the big lottery fund. It'd be really good to hear from some of those projects about what they've actually done as well to bring these huge numbers into real life. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Binney, did you have your hand up? Oh, I think he's disappeared off my screen. No.
Chair, I think the only person who was left was a hand up, who was just taking it down, was Alan.
Right.
It was
Thank
just
you
to say
very much.
I'll check that information tomorrow, Chair, and I'll get back to members with that later in the week, so I get a reply back from County Durham. And following on from what Councillor Marshall said, I'll speak to them and see about whether we can get them in at some point in the future to give a presentation directly rather than clear through me. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Well, that report was to note, so we can move on to item 10, which is about the flags, and that is attachment E. Council's asked to consider the attached report and decide what to do. Alan, are you reporting on this one as well?
Yes, it's another. It should just be a little a brief report. This is something that we've had kind of hanging around, if you like. We've been talking about for a while here, and it's just to formalise exactly what we do. If members wanted some input into what exactly that we do, as everybody's aware, we've got 2 flagpoles at the front of the building. One of them goes on the Union flag. The other one's available to fly various flags throughout the course of the year. We can also have the option to fly them at half-mast. To show respect on particular occasions as well. We have also our civic contingencies plan, programme, which if there's a significant royal death or a significant death, we have a protocol in place which governs the management of flags throughout on our buildings through there. Other than that, it's basically just to take guidance off members to say what we want to do. I've itemised out what we've got available at the moment, and if members wanted us to have a greater range of flags on display, it would mean that we'd have to buy some. So there's certainly the list I've provided. It's not 100% comprehensive. There's also opportunities to do other things at other times, and I'm more than happy to take that on board. And then we'll put something together formally so we can sort of get it down on the record so the staff at the Civic will know what to fly at what occasion. Simple as that. Just basically to the council to give us some guidance on what we're doing with that. Thank you.
Does anyone want to come in? Got anything to say? Councillor Carl Marshall.
Thanks, Carol. Alan, the only thing that I couldn't see in the report was, and obviously I don't want to tempt fate, and I'm certainly not wishing ill on any of our serving members, but just to avoid any ambiguity, if anybody was to sadly pass away during office, or even members who previously served on the council, I think it'd be worth being explicitly clear in there that we would fly the flag at half-mast if one of our sitting members passed away. It's a standard sort of part of any other council policy on flags, I think, and I think we should include that just to avoid any debate if anybody was sadly to pass away while they were serving as a member.
Thank you. Councillor David Marshall, do you want to come in?
Yeah, I agree with what Carl said there. The list isn't exhaustive. I'm sure we'll find other occasions where we'd want to fly different flags, but it would give us a protocol to work to, and I'm happy as Armed Forces champion that we're doing this. But it could be sometimes things like special events for RAF, things that happen and things like that. So we might want alternative flags there. But yeah, I agree with what's going forward, and agree with what Carl said about recognising on one of the elder statesmen, I suppose. Although I am getting my inoculation soon, so hopefully that'll stand me in good stead. But yeah, I agree with it.
Thank you. Alan Tubman, do you want to come in? You're on mute, Alan.
You know, I think I know by now, wouldn't you? We can certainly cover the armed forces if that's what members want, and as Councillor Marshall, Councillor Carl Marshall says, we do have the option, David, we do have the option to do that for members, and it's things like this we're wanting to clarify. I mean, it's do we do that for a member that's left, you know, like a previous member, or is it just for members that's kind of, you know, like somebody dies in service, you know, which is a horrific thought. But certainly, I'm happy to take guidance from the council on what we do with this and how we move it forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Mark Davison.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I think that one of the other things that we need to look at here is we also need to look at what are the conditions of our existing flags and how often do they get worn out and that type of thing. Because if the Union flag and the Stanley Town Council flag are the two default flags, how long do they last and stuff like that. So I think my suggestion would be that that instead of the most woolly of all woolly things, saying they might cost 50 quid, they might cost a bit more, they might cost a bit less, then we should ask Alan to go and have a look to see what decent quality flags that'll last us are actually going to cost, and to get some quotations for the ones that are on the list, and to replace any that are in poor condition and need any repair. I don't know if I can repair them, but you know what I mean. Well, the ones that are starting to fall to bits, get some quotes for them as well, Alan, please. I think that's what I would say. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Alan Tubman, do you want to come back in? You're on mute, Alan.
I put my hand up, and that was what put us up. I'm happy to do that. Yeah, I'm happy to get that to develop it a little bit further and to add a couple of little things that were mentioned by Councillor Marshall, just to get that put into the protocol. And we can run that through the policy group, I suppose, to get that as well. To get that done, we'll get it all tidied up for you in the near future. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So Mark put a proposal forward. Do I need a seconder for that?
Madam Mayor, Councillor Joanne Tully has got her hand up.
Councillor Tully, Joanne Tully.
Hello, yes, I'd just like to second that.
Thank you. Do we need to take a vote on that?
Madam Mayor, as the proposal is to effectively bring it back to the committee, I think we can not have a recorded vote on there because there's no financial implications, and then Alan can do the adjustments to it and then bring the policy back at a later date.
Brilliant, thank you. We move on to item 11 on the agenda, which is the environmental caretakers and neighbourhood wardens update. Could I ask James Harper to report on this, please?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening to you all. Seems a long time since I've seen and spoken to you all. I'm just going to give you a real quick synopsis of the report because I appreciate the report is very long. So I'll try and keep it brief. But that's not to say that, you know, I'm always available if anyone wants to have a further appointment with me to talk about the content of the report. Please email me, give me a ring. It's not a problem. We'll sort something out. I also wanted to say from here on in, I plan on providing a quarterly report for the environmental caretakers, which will be on top of the neighbourhood wardens monthly report that they provide. I think that'll probably help you all very well. I mean, it has been a difficult year for the services, and it has had an impact on the services that I look after. The report, it kind of introduces what we've been up to. There's some background to how the services got to where it is now. And the report talks about the different stages we've gone through, bringing the environmental caretakers in house, the success of that, reintroduce the neighbourhood wardens, and then into kind of stage 2, how the services have progressed, building up portfolios of works and working with partners and whatnot. And it talks a little bit about stage 3, where we're now at a point where we're a real credible service for both those services. And it's about how we sustain that for the future. And it talks about, quite frankly, some really impressive works that they've been doing. The report mainly deals with since lockdown. That's why the report's laid out the way it is. I would try and, in the future, I will try and provide you with the statistics on the different types of works that we do. But just due to lack of staff and time and not the obvious, it's been quite difficult to pull that together at the minute. The report demonstrates the service and its objectives, the vision improvements that we've been making to Stanley. I actually felt a sense of pride when Mark came on there a minute ago with the background that he's got for his Teams meeting. I felt quite saddened actually at spring last year when COVID hit, because everywhere was starting to really pop, and so many people perhaps didn't get to see that. That kind of led the teams, both the teams, on to really try and push and keep going what we've been trying to achieve over the last few years. And we put on a fantastic display throughout the summer, and I do appreciate, a lot of people didn't get to see that, and I appreciate a lot of you here tonight didn't get to see that. Hence, I filled the report with lots of pictures. Fortunately, I say fortunately, unfortunately, we weren't judged due to COVID, but we were recognised as a town council for our efforts for inspiring others this year for the works that we've done through our community engagement and the environmental works we've done. So we've taken a lot of encouragement from that. The teams have had to adapt somewhat to the current climate, and the report covers that, one of which is COVID-19 and the supporting of the vulnerable. The neighbourhood wardens adapted the way they worked. They worked with Packed House to support in the deliveries of food parcels and medication for various people in the community. And it just shows that they're versatile and they can change the way they need to work when they need to. We've also been aware that productivity has been really important for the neighbourhood wardens, and it's been really important that we recognise the knock-on effects that COVID's had within the neighbourhoods. So they still concentrated on the signal crime and the fly tipping and the littering and dog fouling, graffitis, etc., and helped support the statutory service from Durham County Council. We've tried to engage with new partnerships as well. We're currently engaged with the Durham Agency Against Crime, where we're using our environmental works to encourage them to come along and help us, which has been a great bit of work. We've been doing quick hits, which is when a situation in the environment needs action really quickly. Both the teams join together and we try and make a difference in a day or two. In the report, there's various different examples of that, but it's been very effective recently. We've tried to respond to members' requests and public requests. It could be as simply as picking up community Christmas trees and going to remove graffiti that's an eyesore in the area. But we have still been responding to those different requests on top of everything else. The team, the environmental caretakers team in particular, they've been doing spruce ups, and we call them spruce ups is because I'm always telling the team that when you're out and about, if you identify something, make a note of it. Put it on the list. It might not be important that we get done straight away, but whenever there's downtime, which there isn't much of it, but when there is a little bit of downtime, we've always got something we can drop back onto to try and make a difference, whether that's painting railings or clearing an area that they've recognised as an eyesore. So we do regular spruce ups. We've been trying really hard at the minute towards partnership working. Now more than ever, it's been really, really important with obviously the pandemic. And I imagine you've all noticed there has been an increase of curbside waste and there has been more fly tipping. And obviously that's been an impact because of COVID and lockdown scenarios and also the adverse weather conditions haven't helped recently. So it's been really important that we have worked with the different agencies and partners to try and help there. we've been doing regular maintenance enhancements of the different areas that we look after. Obviously, I'm really proud to say that we look after over 30 sites now, and making a massive difference to the area and what people see when they're going through it, and it's quite real to say that people are starting to really recognise that it's Stanley Town Council carrying these works out, and we're always constantly trying to increase how they look and make a difference, yet trying to be sustainable. We are only a small team, we can only do so much. From the success, I would say, projects are starting to be requested by us by external partners, and they're coming forward with funding now to say, can you come and help us do this, or can you come and help us do that? We'll provide the finances for it. And for me, that's really, really good, because it shows that we're recognised. What the town council do is really recognised, both for the neighbourhood wardens and the environmental caretakers, but it also allows us to influence partners and agencies on the direction we're trying to move as a town council. So being recognised and different funding streams come in, it also sort of helps to alleviate some of the burden we have with finances to get things done. The team's been constantly working on good environmental practices. We have regular team meetings to discuss how we can improve our services and be more cost effective and environmentally friendly. That's covered in the report. The neighbourhood wardens are keen to continue with their education programme. Everything keeps getting put on the back burner. We've got different hundreds of different sapling trees going in with school kids. But again, the kids aren't allowed out at the minute, and it's kind of, we're just ready to do it, and then we can't. They're about to do a big project on the board school where we've got £2,000 worth of funding. Again, that's kind of being held at the minute. The report gives numbers of examples. Quick update on the apprentice, Ryan Stoker, who's been with us now for some time. He's doing really, really well. Over the summer period, he was lucky enough to go and work up the Morrison Busty and learn how to plant up with the team up there. So he's continued to learn good skills and knowledge from the other members of the team. The report talks about training and skilled working. The winter maintenance is going really, really well. 18 tons so far this year we put out. I know it's been a cold snap and they haven't stopped doing that, but it continues to do well and a valuable service. You hopefully, a lot of you you might not have met him, but you've spoken to him, John Smith, the new neighbourhood warden. It's fantastic attitude for being visible, fantastic attitude for getting out and speaking with people, socially distanced, of course. He started in the start of August, where he had to carry out a month's training. Now, he then joined us at the start of September, but he's doing really, really well. The report talks a lot about sustainable working practices and how we can do that. It's really, really important, and gives plenty of examples throughout. Like I said, anyone's more than welcome to come and chat with me in the future. What I would say is, our objectives moving forward as the team, obviously we take our guidance from yourselves, is to ensure that we are a sustainable service, both the neighbourhood wardens and the environmental caretakers. And as I said at the beginning, I plan on doing some quarterly reports from here on the environmental caretaker, so you get a build-up of pictures. Ideally, I'd love to have been able to stand in front of a projector and talk about them, but that's not possible. And you will continue to get your monthly updates from the neighbourhood wardens. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor David Marshall, you have your hand up.
Yeah, could I just thank James for that report? An awful lot in there, but can we especially thank the wardens on page 30 there on about the COVID-19. I say there's 1,200 parcels being delivered to the vulnerable, and that's great. That it's another thing that we've done to help people through the COVID crisis. And I'm pleased that the wardens have felt they could carry out those duties, and I think we should record our thanks to them for all the work that they have done.
Thank you. Councillor Timby, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I'd also like to thank James for a very comprehensive report. I think it highlights the joint working between both the teams and how they're tackling antisocial behaviour, the fly tipping, and I think that is one of the things that we must keep on top of, the antisocial behaviour regarding fly tipping, dog fouling and everything. And I think what James didn't really allude to in his verbal report there is how our neighbourhood wardens are working on the problem hotspot areas within the town council. So it's a joint approach in collaboration between Stanley Town Council and DCC wardens, and I think that's what we've got to go forward with. And James again didn't mention it. I know he's got a program. He set a program up last year, but it got knocked out through COVID, and he's hoping to get the planned walkabouts in each ward with members. I think I'm looking forward to it, and I think it's something positive because it'll see the people of each ward that we do care and we're out and about checking on the area, and I think it's the way forward to engage with the public. So thanks, James, again for the report. Thanks to both your teams. They've done a really lot of hard work this year. I know you had great expectations, but COVID kicked everything into touch regarding the Britain in Bloom, but just continue the great work. Thanks very much, mate.
Thank you.
Councillor Davidson, did you want to come in?
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Chair. Just wanted to come in really on a couple of points. Firstly, just want to say that in this report and in the previous report about the County Durham Community Foundation, we said in both reports that we want to try and get a regular series of updates. In this case, quarterly. I'm not quite sure what the County Durham Community Foundation would be, whether they would just come in every time you'd done a grant round or whatever. But I think it's something that we need to look at, so we haven't got 20 reports one month and no reports the next month. So I'd like to, I'm not sure what's proposed, or just a suggestion that the town clerk has a look to see what our external, which external groups we need to get to come in, and also obviously James with his environmental department. If we need to have like a presentation on the Civic Hall every 3 months or whatever, I don't know. But James will be able to sort that out. Because my thinking on this one is that if we can say that we will have an environmental report every January, April, September, January, April, July and October. And then we know we're going to get them on those dates, and we can work other ones around them to make sure that we've got like 1 or 2 reports every time, rather than we started to do this before and we had about 4 or 5 people wanting to come on the same meeting, if you know what I mean. So I'm just suggesting that might be something that James might want to do, but I'll leave him to talk to that in a minute. But just want to really, the other point is that I've been on the bus, let's say, with the Britain in Bloom judges 18 months ago. I think that what we're doing is good. We just need to keep it up. It gives it's positivity rather than negativity for a change in Stanley. So I think we should keep on doing what we're doing really. And the other thing is that I think this year's theme of bees, birds, and butterflies, I think that's an excellent theme. And the only pity was when we put the false beehives outside of the Civic Hall. People thought they were real beehives, and it was probably the biggest hit we got on Facebook last year. People complained that we'd put real beehives outside the village hall when they were the Civic Hall, when they were just there for flowers. So just keep up the good work, lads, and well done. I think that's it.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark. James Harper, do you want to come back in?
Yeah, it was just really quick response to what Les said about the walkabouts. He's quite right. I didn't mention it. There was loads I'm now thinking I should have mentioned that when I was giving you a verbal update. But we have got a list of walkabouts for every single ward. No one's forgotten, and the neighbourhood wardens will be in contact when it comes around to doing yours. Obviously, social distancing and lockdown does have an impact on that, but we'll try and work around it the best we can whilst being safe and abiding to the rules and regulations. Just also quickly, this is to all the members. I have regular meetings with the team, and I tend to have them all of them together, because we are always crossing over, and all of them have said actually how supportive, or the members that they've dealt with throughout the last several months, how supportive you've been when you've spoken to them, and I got a feeling today in the team meeting, they're all getting a real sense of pride of what they're doing, and that makes me feel really quite happy that we are achieving. I just wanted to thank you all for your support to the team.
Thanks, James. James Black, did you want to come in?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It was just in reply to Councillor Davidson's points there. We are working on a programme of visitors, you could say, to full council, but we'll ensure that the points that you've made there, Councillor Davidson, are brought into the mix as well with regards to the updates on the Civic Hall and updates from the environmental team as well.
Thank you. Can I just thank James for the comprehensive report he's just given, and pass on my thanks to the team, or the teams, and keep up the good work. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll move on now to item 12 on the agenda, which is the exclusion of press and public for agenda item 13 only. Councillor Timby, you have your hand up. Do you want to come in? You're on mute, Les.
I'd just like to propose that we'll move to Part B, and just a reminder for members and for members of the public, if they're watching it, it's only for item 13, so we'll be back sometime for item 14.
Les has proposed it. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Mark Davidson.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Just want to come in to second Les's proposal, and the reason why we need to go into Part B is because there's two reasons. One is commercial sensitivity of some of the things in the paperwork, and the other one is that our staff and some of their job roles, etc., their personal details will be easily identifiable. So we need to go into Part B so they're not identifiable to the general public, and breaking data protection. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do you want to come in with anything, James?
Chair, just to alert you and members that we've had obviously a proposer and a seconder. We will now shut down the stream, so if members could give me a couple of minutes, and then I'll alert you when we are fully off the stream.
Thank you.